It's consistency that has put young Chase Elliott into playoff contention, but this team doesn't want to leave anything to chance. They know they've got just 3 shots left to win their way into the postseason. Crew Chief Alan Gustafson told me he thinks this is their best car, their best chance to win one here at Bristol. Chase Elliott lines up 4th, Marty.
We're firing up.
How about this battle right here for 2nd place?
Look at the move there.
The line has clearly moved up the racetrack, and that's something you're going to see all night. Lap cars are going to play a role in this race. The lead lap cars are so much quicker. When they catch them, you're going to see them split them and try to go 3 wide.
For the lead. Oh, and 24 of Chase Elliott got loose. Had to tuck in behind the 42 of Kyle Larson. And lost a lot of momentum.
Not only on the racetrack, but on pit road. Remember, all these cars pitted on the back straightaway. Well, they have to go around on the apron. It's a smaller radius. They have to change their RPMs not to get caught speeding. Well, track position, the battle for it starts early, even on pit road. So pay real close attention to Denny Hamlin as he moves down pit road. He is fighting hard, doing his best to get the lane that he wants. So they all start rolling down. Look at him stop. He's wanting people to pass him. He wants the outside on the restart.
Caution zone.
Big wreck for the 24 of Chase Elliott just happened.
The 13 was sparking going down the backstretch. Looked like he perhaps had trouble. I don't know if that stacked traffic up, but the next time I looked up, the 24 was spinning. Remember, we talked about the playoff guys. The 24 of Chase Elliott looked good on points, but this is going to be very costly if he has heavy damage. The 13 does have some heavy damage.
Yeah, the 24 was running in 6th place.
Smoke coming out of the 43. That's been for a few laps. He actually had a black flag with the white cross. Take a look. The contact there with Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick was exiting the top. Looked like he was in the middle lane. The 24 leaving the bottom. Looked like he thought he was going to have the middle lane. Makes contact.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think the 4 was trying to go around the lap car and just didn't know Chase Elliott was there.
Now it's up to Alan Gustafson and this 24-car crew to try to get this car repaired. They must keep it on the racetrack. Marty?
40 to 20 is. He's in a good position now. Not a good position. The 24 of Chase Elliott.
How about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. up here in the 17? Once again, had a little trouble early. You'll see duct tape on the left front fender, the whole black tape area up around the hood, but still has fought his way back, fighting to try to get back inside the top 10.
This blew that car in the corner, and he had to chase it. I don't know way loose.
What it is about Ricky Stenhouse and Bristol, but there's just something here that must fit his driving style. He always... 24, Chase Elliott gets the free pass on the yellow. That is a huge moment for the 24 to try to gain some points back.
The gap between 1 and 2, 0.6 of a second. There's Kyle Busch, Eric Jones.
And Eric Jones, sorry, Rick, I was just saying Eric Jones is doing what he needs to do. He's staying close enough that if the 18 has a hiccup, and I don't mean a major hiccup, just catches a lap car wrong and has to get out of the gas, the 77 will be on top of him.
Tires are all gone. Keep it nice and straight. Just focus, buddy. Just focus.
Focus. Under 15 laps to go.
Wow, he saw Kyle Busch. A big dive. You could actually see the tire marks on the racetrack as he did that.
That's not keeping it straight. That's not sick.
So with the laps winding down, the opportunities continue to dwindle for Eric.
Dad was always really excited about Darlington Raceway. It kind of fit his style. It's a very intimidating racetrack, and he was an intimidating driver.
Darlington's always been kind of special just because of Dad's success, how well they've run, the Winston Million win.
50th anniversary at Darlington. It was that kid named Richard Petty who had finally achieved what he wanted to achieve and what he watched his heroes achieve.
Join me in celebrating Darlington Raceway's Throwback Weekend. Purchase your tickets now by calling 866-459-RACE or visit darlingtonraceway.com.
With breaking news in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, I'm Jonathan Merriman. Hendrick Motorsports announced Tuesday that beginning in 2018, Chase Elliott will pilot the number 9 NAPA Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro for Hendrick Motorsports. Elliott drove the number 9 to a 2014 Xfinity Series title with Junior Motorsports, and it happens to be the number his father Bill Elliott drove in 38 of his 44 career Cup wins, and the number in which he won a championship in 1988. Rookie William Byron will drive the number 24 next year in his first season as a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series driver, adorning the same number made famous by Jeff Gordon.
What a victory for the 2014.
19-year-old open wheel sensation Jeff Gordon from Pittsburgh.
Jeff Gordon, winner of the inaugural Brickyard 400. William Byron wins at Indy. 19 years old, he is the youngest to win a NASCAR race at Indianapolis.
Two-time winner of the Great American Race. Car number 9, the pride of Georgia, Bill Elliott.
Chase Elliott, dramatic finish.
Chase from the same place as Awesome Bill from Dawsonville.
Sitting on the old front stretch at Darlington. We're straddling the number 9 here. Big news earlier this week, you're going back to that number next year in the Cup Series. You got to be excited for that, to be able to kind of throw back to the 9 right before Darlington.
Yeah, it was good timing for sure. Obviously something I'm very excited about and something that I could never say no to. So it was an opportunity that kind of came up here pretty recently, and I'm looking forward to finishing out the year, obviously in the 24, but definitely getting moved over next year back to where I came from.
Speaking of where you came from, the guy that used to drive that number, Bill Elliott, your dad, kind of owned this place back in the mid to late 80s into the early 90s. You think about him sweeping 1985. He clinched the Winston Million that it was back then.
Bill Elliott is racing into the record books. Bill Elliott has won an additional $1 million in 1985.
How cool is it to kind of just be here, take in Throwback Weekend, sit in, I'm sure, the same seats that were here back when, you know, he won $1 million here in '85.
They had some great days here. You know, the listening to him tell stories about, you know, the days they were actually really good, the days they weren't. I know, you know, talking to him about the day that they clinched the Winston Million, he said they really weren't all that good.
And the car just wasn't right, and things just kept happening and worked out my way.
Ended up kind of being handed to them in some ways. And then there was other weekends where they ran really good and broke and didn't win. So it all kind of came full circle for them here. But this was definitely a great track for them, a memorable one, you know, to say the least, because they accomplished a lot here. Fans to this day, I have people every now and then say, you know, I was there when, you know, when your dad won the million at Darlington, and that's pretty cool stuff.
Take me back to 2014, first time you've ever driven anything around this racetrack. You end up in victory lane for your second ever Xfinity Series win.
Come on, are you kidding me?
This has to be a place where you feel like you might be able to get it done in a Cup car.
I hope. It was, I guess, a little bit beginner's luck that weekend. Since then, it hasn't gone very good. We had, you know, some great things rolling about that time of the year in 14. Ended up kind of getting lucky there at the end of the race, but we also ran pretty good throughout the night, so I didn't think it was a total fluke. Definitely since then, it's been a bit of a struggle, and you know, we need to hopefully get that turned around this weekend. This would be a great time for us to have a solid run and give ourselves a chance.
We've already established the fact that you're going back to the 9 car, but you're going to finish out this season in the 24. There's a lot of history here with both of those numbers, but Jeff was good here as well. How big would it be for you to be able to put the 24 in victory lane before you make that number change?
That's high on my priority list, to try to add to, you know, the success that Jeff had in the 24. And you know, I've had an opportunity over the past year and a half to do that, and haven't done it to this point. So still have, you know, what, 12 more races to try to add to it, and I think we can before we change and before I don't have the chance anymore.
And forevermore. In the name of Jesus, we offer this prayer.
From our grandmother.
marshals, members of the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2018, Ray Evernham, Robert Yates, Ron Hornaday Jr., and Ken Squire, joined by Bojangles Chief Executive Officer Clifton Rutledge.
Drivers, start your engines!
Just in front of the line of cars is the 67 Plymouth.
Up here. Pace car is getting ready to roll.
The King is behind the wheel there. Richard Petty is going to be one of the honorary pace car drivers, as well as behind him will be the 9 of Bill Elliott. And I mean, that's what this is all about. The essence of the throwback weekend is being able to relive some of the history. Take a look at the King right there with a big smile on his face.
Seeing a smile on the King's face, that's what this weekend's about. Honoring the heroes of our sport, the people that paved the way. That's what this weekend, it cherishes those guys.
And look at the guys on the STP team. Oh yes, everyone having some fun before the green flag flies. And again, paying respect to the King. I'm guessing if he'd have a helmet on right now, he'd probably say, you know what, I'd like to stay out here. I'd like to take a couple laps, see what it's like again. Take a look at the starting grid. Up front, it's going to be Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. Harvick won this Southern 500 in 2014 from the pole, where he'll be starting tonight. And Martin Truex Jr., last year's winner of this race.
Flying 11 paint scheme. Starting next to Eric Jones, who's come so close to getting his first Cup win the last 2 weeks.
Petty scheme.
And we've got an opportunity to chat with Kyle Larson. Let's dial him up on the radio.
Hey Kyle, it's Burton, NBCSN booth. You got us?
Gotcha. Just looking in the grandstands.
Sitting on the pole, the Busch Beer Cam, Kevin Harvick, hoping to get a Southern 500 win tonight. Well, we're doing it at Darlington. The track too tough to tame. You can see all the pictures of the damage. Get used to it. You're going to see it all night long. If you're pushing and driving as hard as you need to, you can make a mistake easily here. Ray Evernham said if the car comes back without a scratch on it, you need to smack the driver. That means he wasn't driving hard enough. So that's what you have to do at this racetrack. You have to push.
Before the green flag, let's go back to pit road. Dave Burns.
And Rick, a couple more cars to keep an eye on. The 24 of Chase Elliott looks different this weekend because he's paying tribute to his dad, Bill. Back in 1976, he made his first ever Monster Energy Cup Series start, and it was in a light blue car, number 9. Big news is he gets to run the 9 next year, Kelly.
Yes, they turn 3 and 4 where they are right now. There's options. You can run the very bottom or you can run the top. Right now you see Clint Boyd running right in the middle of the racetrack, but that's going to change all throughout the race. Drivers will be running wherever it makes their car.
Behind him, that blue and white car, that Carolina Ford dealer, that's not Mark Martin. That's actually Clint Boyer running that Mark Martin scheme.
Welcome back to Darlington. Most of the cars were able to get onto pit road and have their vehicle serviced. The 14, though, stalled as he was coming onto pit road. Didn't even get to his pit stall or actually onto pit road. He had to stop prior to getting onto pit road. Kelly.
Yeah, and it's strange the team doesn't know what was going on with the 14. Clint saying that it felt like it was out of gas, which obviously it shouldn't or wouldn't have been. They asked him to cycle through the different systems. That didn't seem to be helping. Then we saw smoke coming from the 14. Obviously, you can see now the team has told him to get back to the garage. They're going to try to diagnose the issue back there. It looks like all hands on deck there, too. You see crew members from the 41 as well.
Welcome back to the Bojangles Southern 500 on this throwback weekend. We honor the late 80s, 85 through 89. Dale Earnhardt, as well as Bill Elliott, were dominant. Right now, the dominant car on the racetrack, Kyle Larson. As we see a good battle side by side between two of the younger drivers in NASCAR. Austin Dillon in the 3 with his throwback scheme to Dale Earnhardt, and the 24 of Chase Elliott throwing back to his father's paint scheme. And Chase Elliott actually will change numbers after 2017. That was announced from Hendrick Motorsports that he will go to the 9, which will be his father's number. So it will go back into the family. That he lost on the racetrack. It was crazy.
It was Cody Ware's car, the 51, obviously inspired by the movie Days of Thunder. Cody's parents actually met in Houston. They grew up there. And so they have a lot of connections to the folks in Houston and want to definitely send them good wishes and a shout out this weekend. But I don't know if you all realize, Cole Trickle, a.k.a. Tom Cruise, his first win came at Darlington. Marty.
In 1988, Brett Michaels and Poison reached the Billboard charts with Every Rose Has Its Thorn. Beetlejuice became famous with Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder. George Michael reminded us that we had to have faith. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame were college football's national champs. Mike Tyson only needed 91 seconds to earn a cool $20 million. And here at Darlington, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville won his second Southern 500.
To improve. I don't think that you put all the engineers in the world.
Trouble up in turn two. We've got a looper, and it's the number 47 in deep trouble, spinning down to the bottom of the racetrack.
It's A.J. Allmendinger there.
And the car number 51.
Fifth caution of the race. Fifth caution of the race comes at lap 160. Let me see, I want to make sure I have that right.
We saw the 51 of Cody Ware. Looked like he might have just stopped maybe just to try to avoid getting into that. Maybe with all the smoke, couldn't see, but looked like he's okay. See up ahead what we can see here. Just see how, yeah, and when you only have a couple of grooves and you have all that smoke, I tell you, as a driver, you just don't know what's up there. So the best thing is just to back it down. Riding along with Kyle Larson there, he was able to avoid all of that.
And you're seeing what the spotters are seeing too, yeah. So it's kind of blind.
Evidently, he's got a mechanical problem with that 51 car now.
He's 48, able to clear the 13. The 88 chased after him as well. And here comes Chase Elliott. It looks like a Hendrick party going on right now. We're throwing back to the years 85 through 89, and it was dominated by really two drivers, Bill Elliott's and Dale Earnhardt. You throw Tim Richmond in there in 86, but it was Earnhardt's and Elliott's that battled and won more than any drivers through that era. Those two were dominant. 28 wins between the two of them between 85 and 89. And the Southern 500, it went back and forth for them. They have figured it out, at least to start off the 2017 season. They were able to celebrate winning the Daytona 500. You see old man there up on the left. Tonight, this was in February. This is how you celebrate when you win the Daytona 500. Tony Gibson, old man. He's been in the sport a long time.
I know Tony Gibson a lot. He was the car chief at the 24 car. I worked underneath him for years. He was a mentor to me. He has seen so much. You know, one championship with Alan Kawicki, worked many years with Bill Elliott. Just tremendous knowledge of the sport. And he taught me so many things about racing, race cars, leadership that I used when I was to be a crew chief. So I owe a lot to Tony Gibson. Marty?
Chase Elliott, he's on pit road right now. He pitted 2 laps after Kevin Harvick. This team will continue to fall further back because they have more laps on their tires. So they either can ride it out and hope to get a caution late, or they need to pit now. Dave.
And looks like they're going back onto track right now, having just pitted 24 and 88 to get them to the end.
Fresh tires for Chase Elliott in the 24. How will they work? And will any strategy pay off for those two as you see the 48 trying to get by the 88?
Well, and that's what's going to happen. As you have cars on these different strategies, one other thing it does is drive chaos on the racetrack.
Start engines, and for the Federated Auto Parts 400 to begin.
Rick, Chase Elliott should be able to get into the playoffs based on points, but as his crew chief told me, we've seen some fluky things happen this year. So their plan to capitalize on stage points early in this one. Chase Elliott starts 9th. Dave?
Kelly, if there's
in front of them, will we see that again tonight at short track racing?
It's very challenging, and you can't make a mistake. It's so hard to win at this level. You're racing against the best.
I want to get to victory lane. I want to have good runs. I want to be competitive. I want to be one of the guys that has a shot to win every week.
There is one race left in the regular season, and a lot of drivers feeling the pressure.
There is a lot of emotion in our sport. You just have a different variety of situations you're in.
You're on attack all the time. You have to race harder now than you ever did.
And Daniel Suarez. Daniel will hoping to transfer. If he does, he'll be the third rookie to win here.
There, row 9, Casey Kane and Trevor Bayne. Casey Kane is playoff bound with the big win in Indianapolis, but still doesn't have a ride for next season. This will be his last year at Hendrick Motorsports.
One of the great things about this weekend, it is the cutoff race here at Richmond, but it's also fan appreciation weekend. And so to show the fans just how much these drivers appreciate them coming out and supporting stock car racing, they're going to go 4 wide to salute the fans here at Richmond, and that's one of the most impressive scenes in all of racing.
And this just reminds me, we talk about Saturday night under the lights short track racing. Well, this is it. Whether you're on dirt at the Knoxville Nationals or asphalt up at the Oxford 250 in Oxford, Maine, it's short track racing and saluting the fans, and this is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a great tradition started in sprint cars. Show the fans how much you appreciate them and all the color of the rainbow under the lights. Man, it's just beautiful.
Well, they prove they can go 4 wide at this speed. We'll see if anybody tries it. But we're going to see 2, 3, and even 4 wide racing on some of these restarts. Right here into turn 3, it'll stack up all night long.
What an impressive sight that is. As you mentioned, all the colors of the rainbow right there. And you got to pick your favorite driver out of that group. Who will you cheer for tonight? Who do you want to see make it to victory lane? Maybe someone who's already won in 2017, or somebody who maybe needs a first-time win. One of the young guns that's trying to make a name for themselves. Well, the fans are on their feet thanking these drivers. The drivers appreciate the fans coming out and supporting the passion that they love to do each and every week.
Rick, one thing that's so special about tonight that the fans are going to be able to see is everybody in these race cars, all the teams, they all have something to gain. Every single one of them, whether in their playoffs or not, they can add to their playoff points. They can get themselves in the playoffs. Tonight can be a night that helps you win a championship for every single team on the racetrack.
We're going to drive along with a few different drivers.
We see Chase Elliott there has Brad Keselowski started this race 9th. I believe he's in the 8th position now. As much success as he had in the Xfinity Series, including a win, he has struggled here a little bit in the Cup car. So here was the discussion amongst his team pre-race.
All about the fight tonight. Going to be a tough one. Let's go get him. Tired of being happy with decent. Got to step up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's do it.
So you heard Chase saying he's tired of being happy with decent. He told me pre-race they want to learn and do better here, not just because it's a cutoff race, because they want to be better at Richmond, period.
And I like that mentality, Kelly, because I think that's also the playoff mentality. Let's not worry about Richmond to make sure we're in the playoffs. Let's make sure when we make the playoffs, it's for a reason, that we can continue through these rounds, that we can actually be a contender. I think that's Chase Elliott saying, listen, we've been decent, but decent is not going to be good enough when the trophies start getting handed out in these last 10 races. This ends up being a very long run. It could cost the 31 a lap.
Yeah, I think he had a speeding penalty early in the race, and I think maybe they were just trying to gamble a little bit to get that track position back.
Oh, and that's tight racing. 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide. Eric Jones wisely backs out in that bright Dayglow 77 on the bottom of the racetrack. He knows he needs to win this race, but he can't win it with 290 to go. 4 wide into turn 1 was not going to be a good decision.
And if you wonder why people...
His teammate, Chase Elliott. He's not in a must-win situation, but still, Alan Gustafson said this is definitely a pressure situation. He said you get to this point in the season, it all comes down to one race, and I kind of like it. There is no go get him next week. You got to get him today, and he said it's good for Chase to be in this position. He needs to get used to these situations, these environments, and learn how to rise to the occasion.
Run.
Guys, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s got some big supporters in the pit box tonight. His friend Jeff Gordon is here along with William Byron. What I can tell you from watching these two on the pit box together, they seem to be texting each other. Then I think they might have plans later, hoping the Junior makes it. But these guys showing a lot of support tonight or Dale Earnhardt Jr. is having a great run so far.
Well, and that was announced. You talk about William Byron being on the pit box next to Jeff Gordon. Well, with the number shuffle at Hendrick Motorsports and Chase Elliott moving over to the 9 next year, driving the number that his father made famous, that's put William Byron into the 24. So you kind of have the guy who made the 24 famous with a guy that hopes to make the 24 even more famous for the years to come.
He's got some pretty big shoes.
Yeah, no pressure. What's 4 championships, 90-something wins?
Tell you what, though, that young man stepped up he stepped up every time he needed to.
Just as Chase Elliott has. Chase still searching for that first Monster Energy Cup Series win, though, and right now Chase Elliott running just outside the top 10. These are the drivers that are part of the round of 16. Matt Kenseth, even though he had damage and doesn't end up finishing the race, he will be a part of the playoff picture. 16 drivers, all with a chance. 3 races, 4 will be eliminated. It'll go down to the round of 12. 3 more races down to round of 8, and then the final race at Homestead. Homestead, Miami, Championship 4. But then the picture takes a little bit of a change when we go to row 4 and you see Joey Logano, who's not in the playoffs, but Chase Elliott, what will he have to do? How do we handicap these drivers?
Yeah, Chase Elliott, what he needs to do, he needs to lean on that championship pedigree of Hendrick Motorsports and also his dad, Bill Elliott.
A week ago, after the ending that the regular season, you would have thought there would have been elation. It was no smiles for Martin Truex Jr. He was hoping to switch that around at the start of the playoffs, but right now things haven't gone his way.
Well, Parker, with all the issues on pit road, it was smooth sailing for the 24 team, and now Chase Elliott is up another 2 positions to crack that top 3. Remember, he's still looking for his first ever Cup win. He won here at Chicagoland in the Xfinity Series, and last year led 75 laps, but ultimately finished 3rd. Well, his crew chief Alan Gustafson had a lot of confidence today. He told me this is the best car they've brought to a track, and sometimes strong in all aspects. Good run, short run, long run, good drivability. This is a team that definitely thinks they have a shot at victory lane today, Dave. And Chase Elliott in the 24 car pits from the 2nd position. He's been really happy with this race car today. The only thing he asked for was a drink bottle, Parker.
Guys, your leader, Kevin Harvick, just pitted for Goodyear Tires, Sunoco Fuel. As the 24 is catching him, the reason was, as the 24 beats him out, was that he was getting too loose on the exit of both ends. It was getting worse every lap, losing the handle on that 4 car. That made an adjustment.
And we'll see the race off of pit road now as we see the 24 and the 4 accelerate. They'll have to blend when they come off of turn 2, and it looks like the 24 is going to have the advantage. On pit road, the 24 of Chase Elliott actually was starting to move to the inside of the 4 when he was coming up to his pit stall. So the 24 looked like he had a better stop than the 14.
Well, check this out. Coming to pit road, look at the gap between the 4 and the 24. Look how good of a job Chase Elliott did gaining on Kevin Harvick. I mean, he was 10 car lengths back. He came on the pit road on his rear bumper. So great job by Chase Elliott. That is why they got that lead. The pit crew did a good job also, but Chase Elliott narrowing that gap. Terrific job.
And as you mentioned, they have the lead now as the pit stops have cycled through. As far as the drivers that were on the lead lap, it's Chase Elliott who's out in front at Chicagoland. Can the 21-year-old get his first Monster Energy Cup Series win today? And the 24 of Chase Elliott also taking that shortcut through the apron right along the front stretch. It is Chase Elliott out in front of Kevin Harvick by 1.2 seconds.
Well, this is Chase Elliott's 2nd playoff appearance, and I think that makes a huge difference. Your first playoff appearance, nerves are really high. He's been there, done that now. And Steve, I think a huge opportunity for Chase Elliott is to use that pedigree that he has around him. Hendrick Motorsports has many championships. His dad, Bill Elliott, has championships. Use those guys help you through these playoffs.
Chase Elliott, obviously from a family of racers. His father, Bill Elliott, was a champion back in 1988, multiple-time winner and a Hall of Famer. And the question always comes up, is it forced upon these drivers, these young drivers, to be a part of the sport? Here's Chase's response.
His only concern and advice was go talk to Mom. That was what he always said, and so, you know, Mom always wanted me to play golf. That was her first her first thing, but no, she was really okay with it and has always been pretty supportive of racing, very supportive of racing. Both of them have, but I feel like one thing about my parents that I've had a lot of respect for that oftentimes you don't see is I think it's easy to push kids into doing things that maybe the parents want you to do or want to see you do. For me, my parents have always given me the choice, and at any point, even today, if I went home and said, Dad, I don't really want to race anymore, or I just don't want to do this anymore, it'd be fine, be no hard feelings, we'd go on down the road and do something else, and that's the way I've always felt over the years, and I've always had a lot of respect for Mom and Dad because of that, and they've always given me that choice.
Bill Elliott's found it just an amazing balance of being there for Chase, but yet you don't see him around the racetrack in the picture much. So you know he's somewhere, either watching from home or watching here in person, available by phone, available to speak in person, but done a really nice job giving him what he needs for advice and yet space at the same time.
And it would have been much easier for Bill and Cindy Elliott for Chase not to be a race car driver. I mean, it's a huge sacrifice. You know, I've seen Bill at a lot of late model racetracks around the country. I mean, it takes a lot when you have a kid that wants to race, and they both supported him hugely. I can promise you, they're not twisting his arm, making him do this.
Final lap of stage 2, and it's Chase Elliott who has just over a half a second lead on Kevin Harvick running in the second position. And Chase Elliott looking for his third stage win this season, but it will be points that he is more impressed with and potentially a shot at a win. Chase Elliott's going to win stage 2.
I think a big momentum swing for that team. You know, they just led 36 laps. The most laps they had led prior to that was Martinsville, the 6th race of the year. They led 10 laps. So I think race 1 of the playoffs to come out and lead laps, win a stage, they've made a statement.
So Chase Elliott ends up winning stage 2. Is he on his way to his first ever win in the Cup Series? Well, he has the final stage in front of him. Let's talk with stage 2 winner Chase Elliott, brought to you by NASCAR Heat 2 video game.
Hey Chase, Jeff Burton, NBCSN booth, you got us?
Yep.
Bud, you guys ran that stage flawlessly. Tell us how good your car is.
Well, it's still early, you know how it is, so we'll see what we got when it counts. So it was a good pit stop there by my guys, so I'm going to keep it up.
Well, you may mention that it is early. What direction you think this racetrack's going to go? You think it'll loosen up, tighten up?
I'm not really sure. The sun's obviously setting, and I think this next run will be the telltale.
All right, Chase, appreciate you taking time. Good luck, buddy.
Thanks.
And he sounds so excited. He just won stage 2. He's leading at Chicagoland. I bet he'd be pretty excited if he gets to victory lane. Of the playoffs, and it takes place right here at Chicagoland. Stage 1 winner, Kyle Busch, goes out and dominates the first part of the race. Then it was Chase Elliott who was able to take stage 2. Who will win stage 3? The race.
Well, and I talked to crew chief Alan Gustafson about these restarts, and I said, do you think it's gotten into his head at all? And he said, no, not really. I think that we've really made a lot of improvements, but as Alan said, he said, it's really those aggressive drivers. He even called them arrogant. Some of those arrogant and greedy drivers that really tend to do well on restarts. Chase doesn't have an arrogant bone in his body. Alan would actually like to see a little more of it out of his driver. Priority for Chase Elliott winning. He said, we've had a year and a half to do it. I take a lot of pride in it. And look, I've got just 10 races left driving these 24 cars. It would mean a lot to me to add to the win list on the 24 car. Remember, he switches to the 9 next year.
You know, we talked a lot about the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., but I think another team that really has made a statement today is the 24 of Chase Elliott. I think everyone had them perhaps working out of the round of 16, but how far could he go? Well, remember, half the races in the playoffs are a mile and a half. So the first one being a mile and a half here at Chicago. And here is the 24 of Chase Elliott, who's already won a stage, currently running in the second position. While he hasn't got up and passed the 78, he has emerged a little bit of that mid-pack team as perhaps a favorite to extend his playoff hopes, go farther into the playoffs.